Well, a few days ago, if you've been following along, I publicly announced that I am giving up the reins to the meetup that started, I guess, everything that I did. So, in 2011, maybe even before that, I read a book from C.J. Hayden, Get Clients Now, and in this book, she talks about how if you want people to know who you are, a great way to do that is to host events. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so around the same time, I was getting into the business world where I live, and a bunch of people were saying, I don't even know what's going on in my backyard. I don't know what businesses are being started. I don't know a lot of different things. I don't know where I can learn. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner, but I'm looking for help as to like where I can connect with different people. And the organizations that were out there were filled with a bunch of people, not just kind of business owners and entrepreneurs. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So what if I could take C.J. Hayden's advice and mix that with some of the problems that I'm hearing in my city, and I could throw an event. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I set out. This is funny. I wrote a speech for the first meetup. Never gave it. I wonder if I could find that speech. But it was basically, like a 2-minute speech, just do like what this region could be. Kind of cool. Anyway. So I hosted this event, and 15 people showed up. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. We were there for 3 hours. Drank some dilly-dilly, stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Should we do another one? And people were like, yeah, we should definitely do another one. So we did another one. And then it doubled. And then we did another one. And then another. Before I knew it, I had an event that was like 50, 60 people every week. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. So then we put some rules, I guess, to it. Some boundaries, I don't know. We started allowing specific presentations. So for those of you who never attended, I hosted this event called Startup Night, where it brought together a bunch of people in the community, the business community, and a handful of businesses would pitch their businesses and then take feedback from the crowd. This was right around the time when Shark Tank started too. And at the time, meetups were definitely not an exciting thing. No one was showing up to a meetup. It just wasn't that thing to do. And so I was really early on in that stage. And I think whenever you can be really early on something, it can be very powerful. So you talk about if you want to take risk on super early things, because that can be the thing that balloons you up. It could be the thing that makes you the pioneer. And I think for me, it was. Meetups and events were definitely that, because we started doing more meetups and more meetups. And so Startup Night became this event where 2 to 5 businesses would present for 15 total minutes. And we did it once a month. Some days it would be like, who knows what date. And then one time, Deanie Dormer, who helps us with our events, said, oh, you should keep it on the same date every month. So the third Thursday, the second Tuesday, whatever. It ended up being the third Thursday for a little while. And then we realized that there's a lot of events on that day. And so let's move it so that we can get more people there. And so we did it on the second Thursday of every month. And so recently I have been, and the event went great. Over 300 businesses have pitched at it over the years. Thousands of people have attended. It really helped put me on the map, and it's been a lot of fun, and something that I think has really been a huge benefit to the local business community. So over the last few months, I've implemented a new service where I'm doing a lot of kind of coaching one-on-one with businesses and specific team members of theirs. And it's been a lot of fun, and I've been getting really deep in with other businesses in ways that I have before, but not many of them all at once. And it's been a fun service to have and to be a part of. And so it's been pretty cool to do that. While I was doing this service, I call it Sensei. Sensei, like a ninja turtle. If you want to learn more about that, hit me up. I'll tell you about it. But so this event, Startup Night, we've been doing since 2011. and hundreds of businesses have been there. And so I'm working with this business, specifically Past Zero and Gary Locke, and he's telling me like what he wants to do. This is probably, he starts telling me this May-ish time frame. He's like, I really want to win the local. I live in this area, southeastern Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia Beach. Sometimes they call it this moniker called Hampton Roads. And I had this conversation with him, and he's telling me like, oh yeah, I really want to win the Hampton Roads market. I want to win that first and then expand. And so he has a networking tool that makes it easier for people who are networking to connect in person instead of handing out a business card, going home, putting that in your CRM. Basically, you get rid of the business card and directly it goes to an app on your phone, and maybe some other tools will come out in the future as well, but that's where it is. And so he's telling me about the Hampton Roads market. I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. I've already basically won that. What if there was a way that you could position yourself? So I start thinking, what if there's a way that he could start positioning himself through this meetup that I already have and thousands of people have attended? I was like, that's interesting. And so I believe, called Dave Ritt, and I go, Dave, what do you think about this idea? I then think I call Tim Ryan. I say, what do you think about this? And they're like, yeah, it seems like it would make sense. And I kind of walk them through kind of where it was. And as my time has been moving more towards shows like this, interview shows, book tour, things like that, I have to be thinking about, okay, where is my time going to be best valued, and where am I going to make sure that I'm still doing the things that I love and have enough time to do that, and do I have enough time anymore to do this event? And I was like, yes, I have enough time, but could it be better suited for someone else? And I was like, okay, Gary might be this person. And so I literally just call him one day. I think I was walking Ashbrook, and I was like, Gary, I have an idea. And Gary has been a client for over a year, but not super deep in the same way that he has been in the last 2 or 3 months. And I just go, I know you love Startup Night. I know it's where I met you. I know you've pitched there. I know that you come to every one. Gary is like an avid networker too. He goes to all the networking events, all the business events, all the pitch competitions like 7 Pitch, 1 Million Cup, Startup Night, all these different things. If there's others out there that I didn't mention, sorry, whatever. And so he's very active in this world, and he has this tool, and he wants to get other people to see it. And I'm like, I have an avenue, I have a medium that's already produced. Would you be interested in basically taking it over? And I think he was flabbergasted. I think he was just like, whoa, I didn't expect that. He had just gotten out of the military, or was just getting out of the military, and so all this is new, fresh to him. And, he's attended a dozen of these events probably, and dozens of other events. And I'm just like, this meetup could be a really good avenue for you. And so he then asked me a great question, and I wasn't expecting to hear this from him. And so we're talking about how I basically am stepping down from the meetup that started all of the startup community stuff, and basically putting me on the map as the pioneer of the startup community where I live, and ultimately someone that is become the anomaly by being seen a lot, by doing something that not a lot of people were doing. And the people who were hosting events were like your Chamber of Commerce of the worlds, or actual organizations that were like events. That's what we do. And here I am, we're going to do this educational meetup for the small business community. It was very, very interesting. But after 7 years, I basically proposed it to Gary. I said, hey, what would happen if you took this over? I think it could be a good idea for you. And he asked me, why do you think that I would be the right fit? And I said, well, number one, I like you. And as you told me kind of your goals, I think they just align with what you want to do. And I already have this existing network, and I can help guide you into that, guide me out of it. And he basically agreed and thought it was a good idea. And so we have been undercover for 2 months working on it. We've been meeting a lot about it. I basically explained to him everything that I've done. We've created some new assets. We've merged some new old assets. There used to be the Startup Night logo. Actually, I could probably find it and show you. There used to be the Startup Night logo, which had the... It has the... It used to have the Hatch logo in it, and so that we moved that so that it would have the logo for Past Zero. I'm a moron. All right. So you can see it here. So if you see at the top, basically, it this you're gonna see there's a cloud with the person in that. That's his logo. That's the Past Zero logo. So we move that over, and then the other logo is still the same. And so, we worked through that. And so, I've talked about retiring events and moving on from things, and I guess in theory, I'm moving on from this event. I'm still going to be active in it. I'm still going to help him. I've still helped him with this entire process so far, and probably will for a while, because obviously what was my baby is now going to be someone else's baby, and he's going to make it bigger and better, and that's awesome. And so I really just wanted to kind of go over how that went. Sometimes people don't know, why would you do something like that? And sometimes it just makes sense for you to move on. Sometimes it's better for you to start something and let someone else do it and make it better. And so I did this for 7+ years, or I'm in my 7th year, almost 100 episodes or 100 meetups, and thousands of people showed up, and hundreds of business got to pitch, and it's been fun, and many people who are listening have probably pitched at it, and thank you for being there. It's not over. It's going to be better, and we've been moving the circus around for a year, and now we're going to move the circus around even more. And now Gary's going to put his flair to it. We're going to get more businesses there, and the show is going to go on. But I think it's important that you think about, is this still the best thing for me? And if there's someone else that potentially could take something over for you so that you can move on to different things, I don't think that's a bad idea. I think it's actually a good idea. And so something that was so important for me for so long now is going to be so important for someone else. And I'm super excited about that. And I'm excited for him to listen to this later at a different time and to realize that I think it's in great hands, and that he's going to do great things with it. I've walked through the whole process with him, and I've encouraged him to do what I did, add his flair to it, make it better, do whatever. And so retiring out of things is not a bad idea, right? I think all too often people are like, oh, I'm doing this thing, I have to continue to do it. No, sometimes it's the right time to move on, and I think this was the right time for me. And so if you've been questioning something, so if you're listening, you're like, okay, what can I do? So not only am I trying to be transparent in these conversations, but also a tangible, here's how you can think about doing this for yourself. Now, obviously, you have to do things that financially are not going to kill you, right? But if you've been doing something and you're like, I don't know that I love it anymore, maybe you should start exploring ways to get out of that, to move on from that, right? I've been thinking about for a while. Many of you guys know that I got rid of my office about a year ago. And by the way, most of these episodes of Zack Miller Says are spontaneous and just things that I've been thinking about for a day or two, or even just a few minutes. And so this one I thought of last night. I've been thinking about it, and I wanted to talk about it now that it's official that we told people that Past Zero and Gary Locke have taken over Startup Night. But also, I'm going to do a 1 year later, what I learned from getting out of my office, my 5,000 square office, what I learned in 365 days. And I'll tell you, it's a lot. And so if you can, think about exploring new options and what things you want to start doing more of. Now, maybe you have to stick with whatever that career is for a long time, but maybe it's something that you just want to, read more, listen more, run more, whatever it is, right? All these little things could potentially make your life better so that you're constantly fresh in them. 7 years. I did this thing for 7 years. That's a long time for someone. A lot of fun, but it's someone else's baby now. And I'm still going to help them out with that, and we still talk about it all the time. But retiring from these events keeps you fresh. It's like when you're working out, the plateau effect. Getting someone else on this. I have a track record of doing things like this too. right, is building something great and then retiring it in its prime, right? The good thing here is that it's still on its scale up, so it's not in its prime, but it's something that all of us can probably do and benefit from. So I definitely encourage you to think about it, explore other avenues, and think about retiring certain things that could be retired or handed down to someone else. A lot of people build a family business to then give to someone else in their family. To me, it's kind of the same thing. Now, Gary's not family, but he's taking over a family event, basically. So, there it is. So as of our next one, if you guys live where I live in southeastern Virginia, his first one, is August 9th at the ODU Innovation Center. We've done one there before. And if you guys want to check them out, I'll link to them, but also it's on facebook.com/757 Startup Night. And then there's a meetup, and it's 757 Business is where that is. And then Gary might do some other stuff as well. But the real thing I want you to think about with this isn't that I got rid of an event. Isn't that I am stepping down from something I did for almost a decade. The real thing is that build something amazing, make something that's valuable, and it's very freaking possible that others see that valuable too and may want to enhance it and make it better so that you can go and do something different and keep it fresh, and do something different. And so that's exactly what's happening here. And so taking this amazing meetup, this amazing community, and giving to someone else to make sure that it continues to be strong. And I'll still probably be there almost every time anyway, so people will still probably think it's my show sometimes. Terry's probably laughing when he hears that. But I'm not going to be the MC anymore. That's going to be Gary. And I'm proud of this guy. I'm super excited about it, and it's a super fulfilling thing to know that someone else is taking over, and they're going to do a damn good job at it. And his wife, Carrie, makes food. She cooks food, so there might be more food there now. She'll be mad at me that I said that. But she makes pretty damn good pretzels. She made them at one of our events before. But stay fresh. Think about retiring, right? We think about retiring when we're 65. Why not retire a bunch of stuff throughout and create amazing things over and over again? It's fun. It's awesome. It's amazing. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, check out the Startup Night page. That's what's going over to this guy, Gary Locke, and Pass Zero. Also check out Pass Zero, PassZero.com. It's a networking tool to help you connect with people that you meet live and in person. It basically gets rid of the business card and has basically an e-card that goes together. And I'll link all these things in the show notes as well. But retiring from things is something that I guess I'm doing again. Startup Night is going to Gary Locke, and I'm super proud of him. And if you guys live where I live, I'd love for you guys to show up. If you guys are listening and you're just saying, I do need to retire some things, maybe start retiring those things. What you'll learn is that you get to add new opportunities into your life, new experiences, and everything just works out. So, it's been a fun ride. It will continue to be a fun ride, but it's going to someone else. So that's it. That's why basically I am stepping down from Startup Night. It seemed like a good opportunity for someone else to take it over. And with more endeavors of me and me kind of working on some other things, it just made a lot more sense. So for those of you that are mad, that's the story why. For those of you who are indifferent, thank you for being indifferent. Thank you for those of you who are excited for me and Gary. Thank you as well. But that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and thank you for always listening. If you love what you listen here early and often, share this show, like it, love it. Patrick Frank, my goals are always the same, right? It's still to help as many businesses. I'm just not going to do it through this event now. I want to be a best-selling author. I want to sell at least 15,000 books. I want this podcast to be one of the greatest podcasts in the world. I want to help a million people. I think as I'm growing, expanding the Zack Miller brand, I have to think about global audience instead of just, and I didn't mention this and I should have. A lot of times, a lot of these things are very focused, and it's not a bad thing at all, on hyper-local where my community is. And as I'm expanding and growing out of that, I have to think about how can I build this global audience using very similar ways. So if I could do a talk like this, so something like this content being produced, if I do this in person, the only people who see it are the people who are in attendance, and that's great and that's wonderful. If I do it in a piece of content like this, then many people can see it, and then I am the distribution platform for that. And so that's kind of the world I'm heading towards. And I just know that a lot of time I'm already scheduling out for the next months and years for my book and book tours and books, speaking gigs and stuff like that. And I just want to make sure that I can put all my attention into stuff like that. And yeah, so that's kind of the story, I guess. But my next goal, is to sell 15,000 books and be a best-selling author. Have the show be named to a best business self-help marketing podcast, and help millions of people. So if I've helped you in any kind of way, thank you for letting me come into your home, to your brain, to your business, whatever. There's going to be more of that. Not going anywhere. I'm trying to help a bigger audience, a broader audience, and that's it. Got it. Hopefully the business is going well for you. Patrick Frank, good to hear from you. And yeah, anyone who is interested in anything else, hit me up. Until next time, though, I'm out. I'm Zack Miller, and thank you for listening. Peace.